Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, and guys, welcome to another edition of the Hard Truth Show. This is stream number 50, and bear with me, guys, because I think this is the fourth time this year I am sick again. Got some kind of crazy sinus infection or something going on, stomach all tore up. Man, I don't know what they're spraying us with, but man, I've never seen so many healthy people I know just been repetitively sick this year. All right, so anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about relationships in the last days and what we can do to protect ourselves. And before somebody thinks this is going to go like MGTOW, bashing women, blah, 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 I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about men, women, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, workplace, friends, family, the works. All right. We got a lot to consider in the current point and conjuncture we are in. All right. And shout out to everybody coming in the building. Somebody just said married 33 years, still going strong. That's outstanding. Keep it going. I like to see people winning in life. Now, real quickly, guys, before we get going, any views expressed, shared, content shared on here does not necessarily reflect my views on this channel. However, tonight, I cannot use that one because every view expressed on here tonight is going to be straight off the cuff from me, myself, and I. Second thing is fair use, but once again, I'm just going to be shooting off the cuff tonight. I don't have no fancy videos. I don't have no fancy exposés, screen grabs, anything like that fancy really to show teens tonight. But before I go any further, for everybody new up in the house coming in, we do this show on new moon days at noon Eastern time, 12 Eastern time. And we do it on Sabbaths, 6 o'clock Eastern time. And if you want to know when that is, a great tool to help you find that using the scriptural biblical calendar is the World's Last Chance calendar app, which you can find on the Apple Store or for your Android device as well. Okay. And with that said, also, guys, please go over and subscribe to me on Odyssey. Link is in the video description below. Guys, we are creeping up on 86,000 subscribers. That is quite a chunk of change. I know my content is being severely shadow banned, but people are actually searching out for content that I produce. And you need to understand something. Now, I have seen a lot of great channels get up there. And once they got to like 100K or past, they either blew up or YouTube got rid of them because they were finally like on the radar very well. All right. I've had to request all sorts of stuff here lately because of copyright strikes. I've had to request stuff all sorts lately because my videos were found unacceptable for advertisers. However, when you can have some girl twerking on here and she gets like 12 million views, and one day, I think it is, I think this channel's gotten like maybe 12, 13 million views in 10 or 12 years, I guess, going about 1 million views a year, right? But that don't get flagged or banned, but the stuff I share on here does. I'm just saying, y'all need to get over on Odyssey, okay? Because that's my backup place. It's YouTube and Odyssey where you can find me, guys. All right, so quick rundown. Tonight, we're going to be talking about relationship struggles in the last days, what we can do to protect ourselves, stream number 50. If you didn't see last week, Brother Akeen was in the house. You can check out his YouTube content and everything. I should have all the links and everything in the video now for you on that. Like I promised last week afterwards to update it. And then the stream before that was about the new kingdom. That is our escape raft from the coming destruction of this world. And Babylon's time is almost up. And the stream before that, number 46, was the new world order is becoming plain to see. And are you getting prepared for it? Okay. So to set a baseline for this, man, I don't want to get into that part yet, but I was in court the other day because my child support time has pretty much come to an end. And my conflict wasn't really at all with my ex-wife in any way. We were in there to resolve some things, but and be done for good, on that stuff. But my conflict was with the state that day. And I can get into that in a minute, but that setting there, okay, I was the first case in the door. I was the last case to get dismissed for the day. All right. Now, so think about that. I got a full fun-filled day in court, and I seen a circus act. All right. I've listened in years past. I think it was Coach Greg Adams in the MGTOW community, in the Red Pill community, talked about that he had been in court. I think it's been over 100 something times. I'm telling you what, the stuff that dude says he's seen, I don't doubt it at all, because in one session in there, I've seen so much insanity, I can't even begin to break it all down. All right. So somebody said, I asked the question in here, said, how do we protect ourselves? Stay single? Absolutely not. No, we all need to find a partner. We just need to find somebody that's equally yoked. All right. And somebody said I was listening. Chat, and they shut the volume down on his last part. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, guys. There's a lot going on over here in YouTube land. All right, you got to understand. Big tech owns this platform anymore. Okay, this is not the YouTube of 2007. All right, 2017. All right, this is a whole new world. So let's get started. The number one thing that people need to take away from this, all right, is that I'm not trying to pull up a Kevin Samuels or the MGTOW community or anything like that. They all have like this standard talking point list, which all of it is very valid. Okay, especially when it comes to female behavior and how that things are going in this current society. But you got to understand, just like me and my wife had a dialogue recently, women are not encouraged to behave in this culture because the state can profiteer off that, and men is a commodity. So once you start figuring out a lot of the chess pieces, you don't really get animated, agitated, and aggravated anymore. You kind of understand where everything stands at, right? But the ingredient that's missing in a lot of these talking points that I see ladies talking about relationships are off and men talking about is nobody really brings up the point that we are living in perilous times and are being pushed to our very limits. I looked at pictures recently of about 3 years ago, and I actually looked at my driver's license while sitting in the coffee shop drive-through the other day, and my beard was like so good and full black, and now it's like salt and pepper everywhere. And don't get me wrong, folks, all of us, we're getting old. Every day you live, you're getting older. Flip, I'm almost 40 years old, but I'm just saying that like within 3 years, it was like going from like 20-something to like a 50-year-old looking almost like that. And we are living in extremely stressful, extremely perilous times. And these are times of great uncertainty. Listen, we've not had a nuclear concern for the world on a world level, like since the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cold War, right? Like we haven't seen the insanity that is going on in our world like we are seeing right now before your very eyes. All right. Now, case in point on this also is that if you look at everything from divorce rates to death rates from all the stuff that's went on the past couple of years, from self-deletions to taking of snake bite substances and killing yourself, I mean, it's madness. But you can turn on the news. I just took a little litmus test here recently, and I looked in World War III, rivers and lakes drying up in America and all over the world. Water running in the desert that was a completely dry place. Now it's got a river running through it. Volcanoes. I mean, like folks in Hawaii are about to be like on code red on I think is it the Big Island? I think it might be on the Big Island that it may have a volcanic eruption. Relationships are falling apart all across the board. Family, friends. You look at rich folks from Dr. Dre to Tom Brady. Okay. Listen, these gentlemen are, like take Tom Brady, won how many Super Bowls, peak health, tons of money. Dude, dude's got pretty much everything going for him, and his wife still dropped him off at the family courthouse pay window. All right. So that tells you, Joe Blow out there, that you probably don't stand a chance against some of these people. And let's face it, 90% of people out there are not for you. And that other 10%, you could really start whittling that down real quick too. Okay. Everything is temporal in this world. I think that has been the hardest pill in my entire life to swallow. And I'll tell you why. Is because from an early age as a child moving forward, I've lost a lot of people I loved in my life. Family, friends, relatives, you name it. And like coworkers, schoolmates. And it's just like, wow. Like these people did not get to live the fullness of their life. They had hopes, plans, dreams, aspirations, and the button got pushed, okay? And it was game over, all right? And that's so sad, but it is something you have to understand, because I think so many people get caught up in love and they don't understand that marriage, especially in America, is a business contract. Now, that can fall in two determinations. That can be a personal contract between you and your spouse, or it can be a three-way polygynous contract between you, your spouse, and the state. Because I know people don't like to talk about polygyny, because you can turn on Netflix or any TV show out here and you can see single couples, biracial couples, homosexual couples. Let me see what else. Divorced couples, but you can never see polygynous couples. All right. They won't let that fly. All right. They want everything else going on but that, because that actually produces plenty of lineage. And they're not about that. And they're actually not about single family too, even if you're not for polygyny. But I'm just saying, when you get a contract between you, your spouse, and the state, your polygynous contract, that's three parties. That is three. Let's count it. You, your spouse, and the state, that's three. So do not tell me you are in a monogamous relationship. You are in a polygynous relationship. All right. And you need to understand the difference. All right. But with that said, everything being temporary, I feel like I'm preaching in here tonight. I'm not trying to preach. Listen, I'm just telling y'all where it's at. Let me follow my list here. I got my notes. I noticed also, it's crazy. When I do these streams on Sabbaths, I get up in here. I always know when Sabbath is, because there's people I've tried to reach out to for a week or two, and they just decided to call me today on Sabbath. There's like so many things that are just emergencies that happen on Sabbath that people try to call me. I just turn my phone off anymore. The best thing you can do is just turn your phone off on Sabbath and relax. Somebody said they don't like anything like actual biblical truth. Yeah, that's for real right there. That is for real. And that's a good point, Kim and Frank. It's all about self-awareness and the ability to be honest and vulnerable. And here's the thing. With that being said, to add to everything is temporal, we live in such a finite, short lifespan of temporary things that by the time many of us become self-aware, because we've went to the school indoctrination camp, the public school indoctrination camp, our country's ran by blood drinking, child sacrificing, Satan worshiping, Luciferian leaders that, that don't want the people to love the Most High, to have any meaningful education, to be lemmings and servants to the state, that by the time we actually do get our act together, a third, if not a half of our life is spent, and we spend the other 2/3 or half of our life trying to clean up the mess that we made because we operated in a spirit of ignorance and it wasn't that we intended to. All right. And real quickly, guys, I forgot to put the banner up. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you would like to help support this channel financially, you can do so via the link in the video description below. All right. So moving forward on it is, like I said, a lot of these shows that like cater, or a lot of YouTube channels that cater to men and women talking about relationships. And not only that, but like relationships in the workplace, your family, friends, and everything. People do not take into account that there is a spiritual, physical, and mental aspect that has to be brought into question whenever you're dealing with people. All right. Most people are not spiritual. All right. And when I say spiritual, I mean like Torah observant, love the Most High, believe in something, actually have a belief in something. We're getting into a really slim culture of that anymore. Most people are very much pagans. All right. Next thing is physical. Most people physically, like when we come to, actually put the effort, the physical effort in, work at something, go to work each day, try to hold a job, try to take care of your children, try to take care of your spouse. Like I said, when I get to court, man, I got some stuff to tell about that one. But, like that is work. And most people are not willing to put that in. And then the mental comes in. Okay. Many people in our culture are mentally defective. Now, I'm not trying to beat up on nobody. This is facts. They talked about most women 1 in 4 on head meds. All right. Statistics. If you look at how many men, but see, now I like to go all the way across the board. If you look at just how many men and women are on antidepressants and all sorts of medications and stuff like that, it is insanity. All right. So most people are not operating in proper mental capacity. Not only that, they can't be self-aware because they ain't even on the right mental level to begin with. All right. Now, if you take that and account that today, in the past couple years, if you look at whenever the snake bite was being handed out and everybody was being told to wear a face diaper, go take your jab, do as we say, go to your domicile, shut your mouth, and comply, all right, which Lucas did not. People are ruled by their emotions now these days, especially the female. And now this is one moment, this might be my 30-second spiel. I'll beat up on women. If you look at TikTok, okay, Facebook, Instagram, and you look at a lot of these, right? You just take a little subset of it and look at it. You can tell that nowadays, if you have a wife, a girlfriend, mother, daughter, grandmother, it don't matter who it is, you will have problems, most likely, especially if they're worldly. You'll see 60, 70-year-old grandmothers out there putting themselves out there, all right? They're out here on that one website where you can actually just hook up people, pay for them to come over, and it's like the Wild Wild West. Like, listen, folks, we are in some wild, wild times, all right? And you got to understand that, like, my mom and dad have celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Do you know how many people are going to actually live to see a 50th wedding anniversary? Like, they're going on their 51st wedding anniversary. They live another year together. All right, like, those days are done. You need to understand that. Those days are hard done, okay? Because we live in an environment where that the government encourages your marriage not to succeed. The church nowadays is so wrapped up in the world, it don't really care about what your marriage is doing. Who knows, pastor might actually be sleeping with your wife, the way that a lot of stuff comes out in the news nowadays. And on top of it, you add social media into the mix, which we will cover it just in a minute by itself. That's another subset of the show today. You have got a recipe for disaster. All right. Now, another thing, and I don't mean, man, I feel like I'm just railing on it tonight, but another thing you got to understand is statistics don't lie unless you're Bill Gates, right? Which is sitting in a picture with a book behind him says with how to lie with statistics, as opposed to Brother Luke here. It's got history books behind him, scripture books behind him, adventure books behind him, documented history behind me. You know, like, you can kind of see the difference in that mindset too, right? So anyway, 50% of most marriages fail. So think about this. That's like saying, I'm going to go on an airplane ride, but I have a 50% chance I'm going to die today. Now, I don't know about y'all, and I love flying Delta Airlines, right? But if Delta Airlines tells me that I'm going to get up on an airplane flight to go somewhere across this country or this world, and they tell me I have a 50% chance I'm going to die today, I'm going to just drive or take a boat. Y'all feel me? But that is the reality we face, and people will be like, oh, I'm so happy for them. They get married, and then the next thing you know, they have they went through a divorce, and you know they talk about 7-year itch and things like that. Folks, listen, we got to understand something. When you're not rooted in Torah, and I want to echo this sentiment so much today, is when you're not rooted in Torah, especially your spouse, especially wives, because I think it's 80% of all divorces are followed by the female. All right, so these are actual physical statistics. Whether people want to get in their feels or not, these are physical statistics, all right, over decades. And when you look at that, you're like, okay, most men want to get physical intimacy with a woman, right? And that woman knows it. And then once that relationship is initiated, after a course of a time, it doesn't hit like it used to. That dopamine hit. And the next thing you know, you get dropped off at the family courthouse pay window. And then people are in shock, okay? A lot of us men are. And whenever you have to start over, it's hard, especially somebody go through a gray divorce. And I don't want to hit on this too long, but my point in case is this, is we need to go into relationships that it is a business. We need to go into, I forget, it's Arizona, I think it was, that just wanted to get out of relationships altogether. They're like, we're not giving marriage license no more, right? There wasn't even a marriage license given until 1930s because federal government figured out they can make money off of it, right? So you look at the situation today, I think two great ones should be that whenever you get married, all right, you have to have an agreement written up before you can get married, right? Some kind of prenuptial agreement that has to be signed to keep everybody on the level and act right. And everybody needs to understand the ramifications that if they go through a divorce, this is what can happen, X, Y, and Z. That would filter out a lot of marriages out the gate. Next thing is, is that anybody that gets married and has children on the 8th day, when that child is circumcised, they also are tested, whether male or female. All children get tested to see if their blood matches that of the father and the mother, because if not, then they can't be held responsible for any child support or etc., and it'd be known right then. Now, if we had certain things set into motion in our world today, a lot of marriage relationships would be resolved out real fast, because many of them would never take flight. Because you would not believe the paternity fraud out here today. You would not believe the snatch and grab, the bait and switches that take place in marriages, because a guy thinks, he's got a good wife, and the next thing you know, he's dropped off and he's lost half of everything he has, just like that. As we move forward, we are going to see, relationships with our parents, with our friends, with our spouses, with our coworkers, with our jobs deteriorate. And, as lawlessness increases, iniquity abounds, so the love of many shall grow cold, right? And that's where we're headed, because, where we're going as a society is straight to hell. I mean, seriously, like, I don't know what more to say to that. But if you look at the situation that is being created moving forward, look at what Biden said the other day, right? President Biden in this country the other day said, I think it was if the Senate got loaded back up or Congress, that the first law he wanted to push for was abortion. Now think about that. There's so many things that could be fixed in this world, but the first thing they wanted to push for was abortion. So you got to understand that from deleting children to the marriage and the family element, the nuclear family, these are two of the most powerful things in the world, is life itself and a nuclear family, because that is the foundation of any great nation, is its people and its morals. All right. And this country, it's gone to hell, and it will continue to decline. And I've already done a stream prior about that, we're living in Babylon. Okay. But we have to look just where I'm at is a lot of people want to look at people's past. What I want to look at is the current state of affairs we're in, right? Number one, we need to defund the media, because they lie to us about everything. Because if we look at just what was purported to us in the last couple of years, the physical jab has literally, if you look at people before and then after, you can tell people's changed. There's something about that. And there is a document, I guess, on one of the jabs now that talks about blatantly that it adds the triple helix to your DNA. And I'm not giving medical advice. Listen, this is just me having a passing conversation. What I want to point out to you, though, is that, you moving forward, all right, and I'm actually going to touch on this and then touch on it again. People need to understand, when you physically have the interaction of intimacy, intercourse with another person, you are exchanging DNA, right? This is how people get, oh my goodness, sexually, STIs and STDs and sexually transmitted diseases and sexually transmitted infections. Okay. I'm not a doctor, guys. Sorry. I'm an electrician. So just bear with me a minute. But my point in case with that being is that if you participate in said activity, you run the risk of incurring some kind of disease, some kind of sickness. And now we have this where people's DNA is being completely jacked up, that you're actually having interaction with what you should really say somebody possibly a mutated individual. So, that is a scary thing. And that is a factor that has to be added in to relationships now too, because it's just like with your family. You can't just go get blood donated anymore if your family got all whacked out, because you don't want to run the risk of whacking your blood out. I want to limit my interaction with that. And we're living in a time where that's totally untested. So you got that to add to the mix now. So, as you run through this, thinking on that, mental health for the past 2 years, you look at how that the situation that was created has affected so many people across the world, mental health wise, in the past couple of years. It has really been an opportunity to show you where people stand in their life and where people really stand when pressure is applied to them, because that was the first time through. And it wasn't like it was under pain of death or etc. I mean, like, people literally were betraying one another, turning people into the police, saying, hey, they ain't complying, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is wild, folks. This is wild. And it's only going to get far worse from here. And so, like, the best thing to do to mitigate that, step back from that, is not only be self-aware about what's going on, but also put mechanisms in place to separate yourself from people like that. You know, like, go down the checklist. Or have they damaged their DNA? Do they follow Torah? Or have they been a good quality person? Do I have a measurable track record of seeing how these people are? Like, these are steps to put in place, all right? But another point to that, and sorry, I'm moving up my list, is spiritual. This place is like Sodom and Gomorrah anymore. I had to fly into Las Vegas 2 years ago and to drive to Arizona, because it was the best situation. So I got my rental car. I drive up out of that place. And when I came back, I stayed there for a day or two to catch a flight back out or whatever. And oh my goodness, like, I can't even imagine what Sodom and Gomorrah was like, because, like, Las Vegas literally gave me a clear, definitive ruler to measure something measurable, to be like, wow, this place is jacked, right? And spiritually, this country is dead. So if anybody wants to have a relationship with anybody, family, friends, lover, your spouse, you have got to look at it and be like, okay, number one thing is, do they love y'all? That's where I really result back to anymore, because I compartmentalize everybody. I'm like, people who love y'all get top place priority in my life. People that are decent people but not really believer, they get, put a little lower. And then people that are just like here and there out of my life, those people are just like casual acquaintances and things, right? But I know I've started to actually compartmentalize people and started to really step back and get away from society, because this thing is a dumpster fire burning within itself. All right. Now, so to pause for a second, and actually, for those that stuck around for the past about 30 minutes, are asking themselves, okay, so how do I pump the brakes on this thing? How do I protect myself, my interests, my assets, my health? Okay. Well, number one is you vet the person. Like I said, if somebody loves y'all, they're in a very small minority anymore. Like, if they literally say to you, I love the Most High, y'all, and want to serve him, this is that small subset of society. So you're in the 10 percentile immediately. Okay. Then the next thing that to be asked is, did they take the poke? And well, if they love the Most High, y'all, they most likely did not participate in that act at all. Okay. Next thing is, stay out of the government. Like, if at all possible, stay out of the government. Now, for insurance purposes, a lot of different things, people will still get a marriage license. But if you're going to do that, have a prenup so that you're protected from that, because they're, just marrying somebody, just getting married to somebody, you can almost immediately destroy 50% everything you work for. It can be gone like that in a heartbeat. And that person has the right to change their mind at any given time. State of California, if they're with you one day past 10 years, from what I understand, books on the law, now they are up to be changed, what I've heard. But that person can check out on you, and you can owe them alimony potentially for life until they remarry or pass away. These are things to really consider upon, okay? Next up is, you need that person. You come in with one sock and you leave with one sock. Here you go. Understand, the person needs to understand that we're living in the last days. Me and my wife, I think one reason why we're depressed sometimes, get these moments of depression from time to time looking at this world, and is because we know we are living in the last days. I mean, for crying out loud, just one point alone, that river Euphrates drying up. Oh my goodness. I've been thinking so much about that lately. I'm like, that is literal scriptural biblical prophecy. Like, you can go to one book in the whole world, and it told you that act was going to go down millennia ago. Right? So when you look at that the person understands we're living in the last days. Now, that right there is a slam dunk, because most people are ignorant to the fact that we're living in the last days. And I'm going to be honest with you about something. I'm about to make a statement that's going to be very rash that most people wouldn't appreciate, but it's actually facts. Most people don't love Yah. Most people don't care that we're living in the last days. They are content to be born, live, raise, work, carry out their life, and die in this construct of Satan's kingdom. All right. Now, I'm miserable here. Okay. Straight up. No amount of money will make me happy. No amount of power or status will make me happy. What will make me happy is the kingdom of Yah come. I have eternal life and can have peace in his kingdom. That will make me happy. Now, will I be counted worthy to enter in? I wouldn't let myself in. Okay. I'm a pretty harsh judge. So I'm just saying, to the law and the testimony, speak not according to this, there's no light in them. Isaiah 8:20. I have sinned. I've sinned after the knowledge of the truth. I confess my sins before the Creator. Nevertheless, I still would find myself at fault at the jury and not let myself into the kingdom. But irregardless, I cannot subscribe to serving this kingdom of Satan. I cannot subscribe to no longer saying I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, because I know that it is a wicked corporation. I can only pledge allegiance to the kingdom of the Most High Yah. All right. I pledge allegiance to the Most High Yah, and to his kingdom to come. His glory and honor be forever. All praise. Shalom. All right. So be it. Salah. But that is where I stand with that. Okay. Now, many people, though, cannot pull the plug and let that go. All right. They are hitched up to the wagon of this world, and they'll never let go of it. And so if you try to build a meaningful relationship with a person and they're part of this world, it's going to be a disaster. All right. Because at some point you're going to get dropped off at the family courthouse pay window. Okay. Or betrayed or sent to a FEMA camp or whatever. Who knows? Right. We need to have a clear understanding of what the book says, walk it out, and you need to have a partner that's willing to walk it out. Now, there's probably worldly people watching me right now. I really can't help you, because if you're already in the world and you get, you get, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you, bro. Says, I accidentally got my toxic, narcissistic ex pregnant. Pray for my unborn child. Y'all help you. And that's the thing. We get with, many of us get with a partner. And sorry, let me roll this up to where I'm at. Many of us get with a partner. Okay. And we build a life with them. And then time comes and we come to the knowledge of the truth and want to walk it out, and they don't want to. And that's, here's the thing, like, whenever time passes and everything, when you do come to the knowledge of the truth and they don't want to follow along, then that's when you have problems. And that's why it's so important that, like, I think it was Kim and Frank commented earlier in the stream about that self-awareness. Absolutely being self-autonomous and self-aware of where you're at in your walk, and making sure that the other person that's with you is not, off course of that. Because I'm going to talk about being unequally yoked deeper in a minute, but like, these are the consequences of that, and at the end of the day, it's a mess. And I've seen it where that people have come to the knowledge of truth, and then the next thing you know, their spouse is like, well, if you start walking out the Father's calendar, I'll divorce you and I'll take this house and the children. And then they're left hanging out to dry because they're trying to follow y'all. And that's why, not to beat up on women, I guess add this to my 30-second meter running earlier, because I don't think I spent a full 30 seconds on it. But most women today of this generation have just fell off the rails. Okay. Like, they talk about how that, like, poisonous animals, you can tell them by the markings on their skin and their colors. Literally, between like the courtroom the other day, I was like, wow, that's a toxic female. Wow, that's a toxic female. They were all tattooed up and dyed hair. And, it's just insanity. And they're out here on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And actually, they're putting it out on YouTube now. Like, literally, it's like soft porn on YouTube. Like, literally putting it out there. And I'm just like, wow. But I so much talk about a few things here about the end days, and I'm flagged, but you're going to let that booty shaking go on. All right on. So, infidelity, one of the last points that I would make is that, as I've said earlier about DNA, this is so dangerous, because something, especially us men, need to be mindful of is there's so many venues for infidelity to be out there now. And you got to understand that That's right. Social media are just booty hookup sites. It really is, JD. It really is. And if there's children watching here, look, I'm not trying to be profane, but like when they get a little older and they get out there in the world, they're going to see exactly what Luke said was true. And, you know, infidelity today is more dangerous than ever before. And here's why. The government encourages a woman not to act right. Now, the man is messed up. Even if he messes up, he's going to be penalized. If he doesn't mess up, he's penalized. So this is why I'm going in on female right now. Female is encouraged by the state not to act right. Now, number two is they know that the children will most likely go with the woman, which destroys the family element, which means that they have more control over society. All right. Secondly, at this point in case, the social media element, which I'm going to touch on just shortly here in a minute after the court thing, I don't want to get too much into it, but social media has given a venue where the instant gratification in a wheelhouse of men can be added to cheat on the man at any given time. So if a man slips up once, Chad, Tyrone, Enrique, Wanton, Mohammed, whoever's going to come sliding in the DMs and take care of business, all right? And then you're going to be cut off. The last thing, 2 points, is that nowadays, because of so much paternity fraud, many men are going around here thinking these children are their children, and they ain't even theirs. And they practically raised them. It's happened so many times. It is like just YouTube. It is crazy, the videos that's come out, like people showing proof of it. But the worst part of this all is since the last 2 years, people being turned into hybridized mutant humans. All right, their DNA literally mutated, right? And you know, this is a powerful thing to say because YouTube keeps shutting people down when they talk about it. That right there tells you it's worth talking about. Is that you run the risk of who knows what going on with your body because you're mingling your DNA and intimacy. When you're having intimacy, you're mingling DNA with somebody that we don't know what that's going to do to their body. We don't have no long-term data telling this is what does it. Now, we have some short-term data with a lot of bodies stacked, just saying, and people having all sorts of heart attacks and blood clots and blah, blah, blah. But I digress. I don't want to get this video pulled because we're talking about relationships. But we have to understand that these people not rooted in truth have a huge potential to hurt us. You know, in the last days, right there, what is it? Somebody said back in the comments on up there, Darnell Mackey said, yeah, a man's foes are they of his own household. You know, it'll be mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. Your enemies will be of your own house. I believe it's in Matthew and Mark that it digresses on that. And it's like, there you go. We're seeing this right now. I've never seen so many people betraying their family members too. Like, just, I mean, that's going on since the Garden of Eden, right? Cain killed Abel. But I mean, I've never seen the so much infighting of families. Like, all I want to do is take care of my children and my wife, my mom and dad. I don't want no struggles, drama. I want everybody happy, at peace. Even if it means I have to struggle a little bit, I want everybody else around me at peace, because if they're at peace, I'm at peace. And it's mind-blowing how much conflict is being stirred up. But now there's a spirit at work in the last days too. You can really see it in people being given over to seducing spirits. Absolutely. So I want to tell you all this. The other day when I was sitting in court, you know, the people that came in there, you know, there was criminal charges and stuff, like where it was like actually violent crimes and other stuff that they were in there for too, not just child support. But it was amazing to me to see how many people came in there. And it was a clown show. And I was just thinking to myself, watching it, this one woman said to the court, said they asked what the woman wanted to do about it because the guy was behind on payments. And she said, well, if it was left up to me, I'd just say throw him in jail. And the guy behind me in the seat, which we weren't supposed to be talking out in the courtroom, he said, of course she would say just send him to jail. And I was watching, and as I went through all this, while I was there, I was thinking to myself, man, if this ain't a snatch and grab money job, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. What was wild to me is sitting there outside the box, but in the box at the moment, if that makes sense, is that I was like, okay, so the court doesn't really care about the mothers, and the court doesn't really care about fathers either. They care about using the mother as a money vehicle to extort the man. and they use the man as a money vehicle to get money to the mother, but at the same time, they're getting the Title 4D money matched to the state, I guess, from the federal government. So I'm like, this is a money grab for states. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that is really, really messed up, because the state will fight you hard to take every penny they can find and work it in on that calculator, because that's money for them at the end of the day. And I hate it, because I think a lot of people go into court thinking, well, I'll just put my husband on child support and I'll get mine. And to me, that's just a broke chick hustle. It's not really about many of them. It's not really about supporting their child, because most good fathers would take care of their children regardless. Matter of fact, if I had 50 kids, that I would want them near me, with me at all times as much as possible, not out here having to struggle in the world. But, once again, we live in a Torahless world, in a Torahless country, where that in ancient times, if a woman decided to depart, his children is his property. The woman was his property. His property was his property. But now everything's upside down, just like, what is it? Lori B. Coxey said this. So it's an upside down world. Great comment. So here's the situation. Just like I just said right there, you can see what the government does is completely opposite of what the scripture teaches to do. All right. And we're and when you look at it, social media bears all this out. And I tell you, I really, really loathe social media anymore. Like, ever since that Facebook done that meta thing, I pretty much checked out. Like, I rarely get on there. I'll post some pictures of golfing or, something, me and my wife and daughter together, or she'll tag me in something. But that's it. I don't do social media anymore. And the only reason I still continue to do YouTube is because there's such a massive following on this channel. I hope it can help impact somebody positively. Because, folks, I seen this thing the other day, not to get off subject on social media, but I looked it up the other day. I was like, maybe this year, maybe next year, I might hit 100,000 subs. I'm like, how many channels have 100,000 subs? And it was like only 321,000 channels roughly in the world have 100,000 subs. And it's 0.29% of all of YouTube. I'm like, wow. That's like in the 99 percentile of YouTube has that many. So I'm probably like the 97, 98% of YouTube right now. And I'm like, that's pretty impressive at the end of the day. I didn't think that we had done that way. I'd actually done that well. And I know quite a few brothers out here that are at 100K or over. I'm like, shout out to them. We are making a difference in this world. Now, the 1 million, 10 million, and I think it was 100 million or something, that they're very, very few channels. But that's really impressive. And I was like, I think that for me to try to reproduce that again, I don't know how it would take me. I don't know if I'd ever be able to accomplish it again, even if I do it the first time. But somebody said been divorced twice, child with each wife, half and half again. Yeah. And guys, I hate it. Like, it is so sad. And it is, the statistics bear this stuff out, and you've got to insulate yourself, because I know we want relationships. I know we want families. I know we want intimacy, but the cost of it comes at a massively high cost. Just is what it is. And social media is terrible. I mean, I think social media has been one of the most destructive elements in the end days in relationships with family, friends, co-workers, marriages. Dude, you can literally DM somebody, find somebody in your own town, right? And you DM them and hook up with them that night, right? That literally can happen. That scenario can happen. Literally, you could go to work. Your spouse could hit up an old high school flame. And while you're at work, that guy could come through your house, okay, be with your wife, leave, you come home, you never know about it, and they be together. And the one tool that facilitated that was social media. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me in them comments right now that I'm lying, because y'all know that's going on out here right now, right? And that's facts. Furthermore, relationships have gotten so bad in between man and woman that, like, we have gone so wild, wild west that there literally is a website that facilitates people paying to hook up with one another over certain terms. All right. There's guys on here on the MGTOW community pushing that hard now. I've seen that too. And I'm like, you know what? For a pagan person that is a godless person that doesn't walk out Torah, they're being drawn to that because think about this for a minute. For those that aren't, or for those that are us that's trying to walk out and do the right thing, follow the scripture, walk out Torah and the commandments, right? Follow Most High Yah, have faith in Messiah. Please note the if you were a pagan, now think about this for a second, you have two options. Option A, I try to actually be loyal to a woman. I actually try to build a meaningful relationship with a woman, but I know she's probably going to cheat on me, leave me, and maybe most likely divorce me, take everything I have. Or when I get lonely, I'll just pop on a website, find somebody that looks good, drop off my wallet, and have the time of my life and go back to business as usual. Now, which one of those options you think people's going to take? Come on, folks. I'm not a rocket scientist out here, but I know exactly what's up anymore, all right, when it comes to stuff like this. I'm starting to see the writing on the wall. And marriages, percentages of marriages that are taking place are plummeting. Percentage of relationships that are actually going through and becoming one are falling flat. And people, we are in a massive hookup culture, wild, wild west saloon brothel. All right. And that's just how it is. And furthermore, when it comes to having something meaningful relationship with family and friends and coworkers, we live in a world full of distractions now, where that to just go golfing with a friend or to sit down and have lunch with a coworker or to just talk with your family and have a get together, it is almost inconceivable to bring people together at the same table anymore at the same time, because we live in a society that is full of digital distractions, financial distractions, sinful amusements. And at the end of the day, there's just no time for no one because everybody's so wrapped up in everything that the bond of the real meaningful bond of each other is gone. And don't get me wrong, social media has been a wonderful tool for me to meet people through the years, build a meaningful relationship with them, and now we're close friends. But outside of that, it is just such a destructive force that many people don't see. All right. And going up on that is what we've seen in the past 2 years ago. Okay. Is that people will throw you under the bus to the New World Order when the time comes. Marriages, friends, family members, co-workers, especially family has the greatest potential to ruin your life. Okay. I seen this girl on this thing get mad at her dad because she couldn't date this guy because he thought he was bad news. And come to find out later he wasn't, but he was doing some sketchy stuff. So it made him concerned. But the daughter threw the dad and the whole family under the bus and made them so bad, looked so bad on TikTok that there was almost like no cleaning it up. The dad practically lost his job. The mom and dad got a divorce. I mean, it blew up the whole family. And it was poor decision making. But that's the society we live in right now. Somebody said, thanks for channel. I saw your video last week and the light bulb went off when it comes to the new moon and the Sabbath. Thanks, bro. Hey, much love, brother. Shout out to you. But it's absolute madness and just insanity that's going on. And we cannot walk unequally yoked. And that means with family, friends, coworkers, anybody anymore, because we are in the scariest time of humanity. We are in the last days. And listen, folks, when the trumpets start popping off, when you start seeing supernatural things like you have never seen in millennia, like people's hearts are going to fail them for the side of seeing the things coming up on this earth, right? And in the Torah, that child would be stoned. Yeah, JD, I think you're right on that. That would be the judgment for that would be stoned, because that was absolute wickedness right there, what that child done to the family. And the child actually said too, they didn't care what they done to the family. So I believe you're spot on with that with Torah, brother. But we can't be unequally yoked with these people. And I know it's hard, because in the last 2.5 years, I think I've lost relationships with so many people that like I either I've known short term or like almost all my life, that I had to cut them off because like they're just toxic. And it's not they're toxic. It's that their actions and the consequences of their actions are toxic. And I can't afford to be in that situation anymore. And we're going to have to continue to whittle and whittle and whittle. And I know many people are in different crossroads right now. They've got, their wives to deal with. They've got family to deal with. They've got jobs to deal with. They got employers saying you can't take Sabbath off. So what are you going to do? You're going to drop that job off. I mean, there's just so many things that you have to deal with right now in the last generation that people didn't have to deal with just as short as 100 years ago to a millennia ago. And I keep saying a millennia ago because 1,000 years, there's been so much change. Within 100 years, say 150 years, there's been a mass change of stuff. Okay. I mean, from flying aircraft to vehicles to electricity to cell phones. I mean, the whole 9 yards, internet, like there's been a lot of changes in this world in a short amount of time, folks. I mean, kids today think that the world's always been this way. It's like, bro, have you not read the history books? Like we are so accommodated today to have so many things now. The generations prior, just as early as your grandparents didn't have the opportunity to have that we've been afforded, right? Which also creates opportunity to sin much easier. But you just can't be unequally yoked with people that ain't in Torah, all right? And this culling is going to take place. Betrayals are going to continue to take place. You got to understand this. I'm going to throw this caveat in there. Family and friends, those that you've told, hey, this rapture thing ain't going to happen. You're going to see the 7 trumpets of Revelation take place, and you best get ready for the ish to hit the fan. Bro, when the ish hits the fan and trumpet 1 pops off, these folks are in for a rude awakening, and they're either going to sell you out, be angry with you, come knocking on your door for a can of beans, self-delete. I mean, there's a lot of options there, but they're going to check off one of them boxes. I'm telling you. All right, so the last thing I would say to this is, what are you going to do if you are alone? I mean, it's a question I ask myself because man better have a contingency plan. You better have a tertiary plan. You know, I was thinking about this recently. This thought kind of crossed my mind when I went on vacation with my wife and daughter to Hilton Head, South Carolina. We were there. In the last couple of days of vacation, I got just that stomach flu, and I got so sick, just dastardly sick. And I was laid up in that bed, and I knew I was getting sick, so I made preparations, to lay there in that bed of sickness and ride out the storm. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, moving forward, as you're compartmentalizing all this, you think to yourself, man, if I'm alone in this thing, you can't afford, a man can't afford to get sick anymore. He can't afford to go to the doctor because they'll try to put some poison in you or kill you. You can't really travel the world much anymore because they want you to have poison in you. You can't hardly afford to get sick at your job or lose your job anymore. I mean, it's a rat race. And we literally have got to start putting mechanisms in place to back us up if we fall flat, because many people have always throughout the generations counted on parents and grandparents and their spouse to be there for them, co-workers to back them up in their job, and church members to back them up. And like, that's not going to happen anymore. Like, you need to plan for those very people to be the ones that betray you. Listen, you got to understand something, folks. The love of money is the root of all evil, and a root sucks up water. Okay. So in order for that root to continue evil and to continue doing what it's doing, it needs money. Okay. And so when wicked people get to the spot they're going to be put in here in the near future, they are going to cash in their chips on you. And let me tell you, baby, at the casino, the house always wins. And the house is going to start winning big soon. Because, listen, CIA, I said it recently in 1 or 2 videos, I said they're the biggest terrorist organization in the world. I stand behind that. I'm going to tell you this, it ain't going to take the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, the United States Defense Department to come hunt you down. Dude, your very family, the ones that have set and lifted up their heel against you. What is that scripture talks about Judas, where that it was or it's in Psalms, I think it is, that he that ate at my own table has lifted up his hand against me, or something like that. I don't want to misquote scripture, but I'm thinking about that. It's like the very people that you have loved, you have clothed, you have took care of when they were sick, you have went slaved your soul away at a job. These are the very people that they're going to pick up that phone and they're going to be like, yes, yes, is this the call line to call in? Okay. Yeah, I would like to report Joe. Yeah, he's one of those people. Yeah, he's like one of those tour observant flat earther people. And yeah, he kept saying the end days were coming and the trumpets were starting. And yeah, you can just come on down and pick him up. Actually, he gets off his job at 3:00. So like, if you just want to pull around the back side of the building and just wait for him when he comes out, you can just snatch and grab in the black van. Okay, yeah, and now will that funds get paid out to my account today or tomorrow? Okay, thanks so much. And that's how it's going to go down. That's how it's going to go down. And y'all laughing at me right now. There's people probably on the other end of this video laughing about that right now. But you wait until somebody picks up that phone call and throws you under the bus one day, because it's going to happen. And I've already anticipated a lot of these things to take place. It's frustrating because you can try to have a contingency plan and a tertiary plan, and you can have, you just need like even a fourth plan and a fifth plan, because there's going to be so many wild cards thrown at you. Like the other day when I went to court, I didn't expect to have that big a throwdown with the state. And then there it was, and I had to deal with it. And it's like, you never know anymore what we all are having to deal with. And just when you think you've got it figured out is just when you don't. JD, shout out to him right here. Psalms 41:9, yea, my own familiar friend in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, had lifted up his heel against me. Oh, I was close. I was close. I appreciate you, brother. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I want people, I guess the last comments I would say to this tonight in this casual conversation is that I want people to have a meaningful relationship. I want you to get married. I want you to have a family. I want you to have a lineage and a legacy and children. Excuse me. But you have to understand something, that the two-story house with the picket fence and the dog in the backyard and, you know, the sports car and the family and all that stuff, like the American dream's dead. Okay. And not just the American dream. Most of the dreams in this world are dead. Okay. Right now, to have something meaningful anymore, to find another person that loves y'all and to have a meaningful relationship is very rare. And if you can find that, all praise the Most High y'all for that. I wish you nothing but success to the mountaintop. But most people out here today, they're fully enamored and immersed in this world, just as Neo and I can't think of what's his name, was talking about on the Matrix whenever they were walking in that city street. I think it was New York, in the city street there. There was like, these people have been part of this system for so long. It's all they've known, that they will literally defend it and fight for it pretty much. And that is where most people are today, that no matter how much, there is no amount of, listen, you cannot love people into the kingdom. We all have a physical, mental, spiritual choice to walk out the truth or to walk in lies. The broad path leads to destruction, the straight and narrow. There's few that be that find the way. Narrow is the gate, and few there be that find the way into life everlasting, right? And it is literally getting harder by the day. And you give it a couple more years for AI to get fully autonomous. Give it a couple more years for another pandemic or World War III to really get full bore. You're going to see with the things that I've told you start to come to pass in clear and present danger and reality in front of us, because it's going to be a wild show to see how many people betray one another and lawlessness increase in this world before us. Guys, I know I've dropped off a ton at people's lap today, but I want you to be warned so that you don't make poor decisions, because if I knew the things I know now just a decade ago, maybe 2 decades ago, it'd been nice to know them early, not when I was like 19, 20-ish. If I knew that now, or what I know now back then, my life would be in a completely different place. But the problem is, knowledge is trying to be restricted. We live in a time where you can Google about anything you want to know, but literally at the same time, that information, they're trying to restrict it and keep it from people. It's just is what it is. And it will continue to get far worse. And people like me that has a voice that tries to tell people what's up and for you to go do your own due diligence and research these things out to see if they be so, people like me won't really be around because they'll make sure to shut that down. And I hate it, but you need to be mindful of this and make preparations for it. All right, guys, next week, I think I'm going to be talking about World War III because it's definitely, I haven't talked about the war in Ukraine and Russia really much at all. I think I've touched on it briefly just twice in passing, but I'm going to touch on it at this point. Excuse me. I thought I was about to sneeze. I'm going to touch on it at this point because the U.S. is going to get involved. There's no doubt about it, like full on involved. The 101st Airborne is already in Romania, I think it is. Like we're going to see action. It's inevitable at this point. And I'm going to weigh in on that and talk about that in the next show coming up, most likely. That'll probably be what I'm covering. But guys, let me take the banner down. And I appreciate y'all being in the building. Hope y'all have a wonderful week ahead. And as always, guys, until we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, I hope the Most High Yah baruch you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua's name.